If you know me in real life, you already know how much I love theatre. Up until I was 18, I actually wanted to pursue musical theatre as a career, but then I had a big old minty pee and realised that I was nowhere near emotionally stable enough for that kind of life. That being said, my love for theatre has never faded, and this week I have seen 2 shows in 1 week, which was a lot. One was in London and one was at a local theatre, and actually, technically, the second one I'm going to tonight. So as I'm recording this, I haven't actually seen the second one yet. And even when this goes up, I don't think I'll have seen the second one yet. But either way, 2 shows in 1 week. Both Shakespeare related, actually, which is kind of weird. But that actually got me thinking about the Sims 4 Get Famous pack. And Del Sol Valley and the acting career focus so much on like movies and TV, but there's not really any focus on the theatre. And that kind of feels a bit weird to me because most people, when they're going into acting, they'll start in theatre before going into even TV commercials. So as part of my custom save file, I decided to build an all-in-one acting studio, rehearsal space, and theatre. I'm really proud of how it turned out and I really can't wait to show you, so I hope you stick around to watch this video. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm T. I'm a chronically and mentally ill content creator with a love for the cozy and chaotic. Let's try and keep it cozy today and jump right in. So as I said in the intro, I am building this in Del Sol Valley, and I really wanted to kind of create this space that is very much focused on acting, but maybe more of the kind of like performance, like theatre performance. I used to do a lot of theatre performances. I used to do a lot of acting and be in an amateur dramatics group, and I used to do all the school plays and everything. So I was kind of drawing on my own experiences of places that I had been in, and places that I had done rehearsals in and performed in and stuff like that when I was younger. But I was also trying to draw on vague things that I knew from professional kind of experiences. So this place isn't quite professional. I did come up with like a little bit of like a story here, and this does use the businesses and hobbies expansion pack as an idea of it would kind of be run as a business by someone who would live here, maybe by a retired actor who was very popular and then ended up sort of deciding they wanted to use their good and their knowledge to help others, or someone who maybe wasn't as successful but wanted to kind of create a space for fellow thespians to come together. So there are different ways, like story-wise, that you could play this. There are different ideas to it, but I felt like that was the best way to do this, and to kind of go down that route. So it's a semi-professional space. The idea I had is that maybe this is sort of a converted warehouse type thing. It's very much like an industrial building. It's not in the glitz and glamour of Del Sol Valley. It's kind of almost in the kind of, I don't know, like downtown LA kind of vibes. It's less not professional. It's less polished than the rest of Del Sol Valley. It's very much a case of this is where the startup actors kind of are. It's not a particularly refined theatre. It's kind of a place for amateur groups. So like gameplay wise, I'm not actually 100% sure if, like, I don't know, you might have ideas for how to use it like gameplay for your Sims to come here, but I felt like it was more a place for, if I was using this in my Sims game, then I would use it as I would have maybe someone in the acting career who like runs this place, or as a sort of like a philanthropist, someone who's like contributing to the arts but mainly doesn't want to kind of be involved in the arts themselves. So I try to create multiple spaces throughout this build, so there's some rehearsal spaces, there's a teaching space because it felt necessary to have like a teaching space, because the teaching aspect of businesses and hobbies is just it's so OP. You can earn so much money from that. So I feel like that's really a good shout. So maybe your sim can teach acting and stuff. Everything should be functional, but I don't actually know what you need in a classroom to be able to teach acting. I assume it's just a whiteboard, maybe mirrors. Do you need mirrors? There's loads of mirrors around, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's also microphones. I also wanted to create like a music room. There's a wardrobe. I could have gone even further. I kind of realized after the fact with this, but this build took me ages. It took me like 5 hours to build this, which is quite a long time considering I have very little time to record this video this week because, as I said in the intro, I've been to the theatre twice, which has taken up a lot of my week, and it was quite an intense build. So, and it also, obviously, you also have the apartment for the sim who lives here, which I had like so much difficulty trying to figure out how to lay it all out. But I think it ended up actually looking really cute. I really like the apartment, but I'll talk more about that when it comes to like doing the furnishing and stuff. So it is a bit boxy, it's a bit boring, but I think it turned out really well. I was building this on the Plum Bob Pictures Museum lot because that was the first thing I absolutely had to bulldoze in Del Sol Valley when I was starting to kind of create my save file for Del Sol Valley. And I was looking to, I think it's off to the right, if you're like looking at the front of the lot, there's a building there which is, it's not like accessible, it's just set decoration, but it's really like, it's very office blocky, and I felt like that was really the vibe I was going for here. Like, it's kind of been repurposed, done up a little bit. It's kind of got that industrial edge. But I really liked how it turned out, actually. But I could have definitely gone further with this, and I definitely could have added in like dressing rooms. I could have added in a tech box at the back of the theatre. I could have done like an extension to the floor above where there's the apartment. I could have added on a tech box onto there as well. Like, there are loads of things that I could have done with this that I didn't, and I totally possibly should have done, but yeah, I just didn't. I wanted to kind of keep it also a little bit bland so that it could be used for whatever you really wanted to. So what you could actually do is you could put a big like screen in the theater room, and you could turn it into a movie theater as well. It could totally be used as a movie theater. I didn't really put any set decorations because I wanted it to feel like it was between shows. I wanted it to feel like it wasn't necessarily set up for any kind of show at the moment. So you can set it up for whatever suits you, really. Like, it's very kind of, it's got a lot of personal touches for whatever you want to use it for. But you can see this room here, this big room here, this is the theater. And I actually, like, it took a long time to kind of figure out how to do it, but especially with the curtains, and I think I probably could have done it better, but I'm still really happy with how it turned out. I went to the theatre in London. I went to see Much Ado About Nothing with Tom Hiddleston and Hayley Atwell and Mason Park were all in it, and those are three of like actors that I really, really admire, really respect. So I was really excited to be able to go and see that, and I went to see that on Monday, and we didn't get home until about 1 a.m. and then I had work. No, I didn't have work the next day. The next day I had to go to my new house, and I had to be there super early because I was having my Sky TV box delivered. So, and they didn't know what time it was going to be delivered. So I had to be there all day. So I had to leave the house at like 8 a.m. and I was so tired. So I went over there, and I couldn't even like take a nap or anything because I don't have any furniture in the house yet. So I was just there all day and unpacking and stuff, and I was so tired, and I came home and then recorded this. And so you can probably tell my brain was a little bit warped. My brain was like not having it. And then I was back at work on Tuesday as well, on Wednesday even. So then on Wednesday I kind of crashed out a little bit, and then it took me a while to edit this as well, because there was a lot of me being indecisive that I had to cut out, and a lot of just embarrassing moments of me trying to get stuff to work that was not working. I spent a lot of time, I found, when I was scrolling through this, just when I was editing this, I spent so much time just scrolling through debug trying to find stuff, and it was just embarrassing. I had to, this footage was originally like I say, 5 hours long. I had 5 hours worth of footage for this, and I had to edit it down to something that was not a disgustingly long video. And even so, this video is pretty long, so it was a whole process, but I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I really liked having the little lamp on the stage, because that is a theatre thing. There's usually a lamp on the stage. There's a reference, and I used to know it, and I can't remember it now, and I'm not going to bother looking it up because I'm lazy. So if you're interested, you can go look for it. But there is a reason why there's a lamp on the stage. I think it's to do with, it's traditionally an oil lamp, and it's to do with Victorian theatre stuff. I can't quite remember. But I studied the Victorians, actually, at university. I have a master's degree in Victorian literature, so I do know stuff about Victorian, specifically from like theatre and stuff. So did you know that the boxes on the side of the theatre were actually invented not to be able to see better, even though it was like they were the most expensive seats and stuff, and it was only the rich people who would sit in there. They weren't designed to see the play better, they were designed to be seen. So now the stools, the kind of the seats at the front of the theatre on the ground floor, are usually the most expensive because they have the best views. But when Victorian theatres were being designed, which is the most popular form of theatre now, when they were being designed, it was actually intended that the poorest people would sit in the stalls and the richest people would sit in the boxes, so people would go to look at the rich people as well as the show. Very interesting. Random knowledge that I will never make use of except in this one YouTube video. But there you go. Now you know too. Now you have that knowledge, that useless knowledge. But yeah, so I was trying to create this theatre, and I really like how the seating turned out as well. I think it was just so cute. Like I say, now thinking about it, I look at the back there and I'm like, oh, I should have put in a tech box, but oh well, whatever. You could totally turn this into a movie theatre. I think it would suit really well, and you can add in bits to the side, like costume boxes and stuff, which you would usually have in a theatre, like off in the wings. So you could add loads of stuff. Like, you can totally personalize this. In terms of putting artwork up on the walls, I really just reutilized these same posters over and over again in like every different swatch, because there is not a lot of stuff that really screams theatre in this, in any of these packs, really, like in anything. And I was trying to use fewer packs. I failed. This build uses a lot of packs, but I was also trying to use the decals to kind of capture everything that's kind of usable in the space, so everything that's kind of represented. I think I caught it all, because there's nothing really that kind of screams acting, and I also just needed stuff to fill that back wall because it was so empty. With this little entryway desk, I actually didn't test to see if this was functional, and realized after the fact that that was probably a mistake. But I really liked the idea of having the check-in desks like in the counters, because it's like a little self-check-in place. Like, the idea is this is your front desk, and yeah, so I put some little seats and stuff behind there as well where your staff would sit. But realistically, I don't actually know if that works, so if it doesn't, please let me know if you decide to play with this, and I will edit it accordingly and make something else there. I think it should be functional. I think it should work, because your Sims can use like up to that space in the counter when they've got like food and stuff there, so I think it should be fine. But I wanted it to have, in this like little entryway area, I wanted it to have almost a faux posh feel to it. So it looks like it's a lot fancier than it really is. So there's this kind of this duality to this build where they've tried to make it out like, hey, look, we have a really cool theater, we have a big fancy theater, but realistically, like, the outside of the building is all dirty and covered in graffiti and stuff, but the inside is kind of posh a little bit. And also, like, there's a lot of windows, it's a lot of like open space, so I wanted it to kind of feel like they want to entice people in because they're trying to earn money and get money, like, for the supporting the creative funding. So yeah, I like the idea of having this little bar in the front as well. So you know when you go to the theater, I don't know, you maybe don't know, but like, when you go to the theater, like, usually you kind of get a drink first, you sit down, you chill out, and then on the interval as well, there's a place to kind of come and sit and chill out, and usually have like an ice cream and a drink and just chill out. How many times have I said chill out? I'm really self-aware of that now. And then of course you have to fill the corner with a plant, but yeah, I was kind of, like I said at the beginning, I was kind of basing this on a lot of places that I used to go to, like, growing up, and where I used to perform in amateur dramatics, and I mean, less so school plays. My school wasn't like this. Obviously, we didn't have a bar, but I did used to perform in actual theaters. So I wanted to kind of emulate that vibe in a lot of this build. Also, I realized as I was editing this that I put curtains on the inside of the wardrobe room. I didn't put them on the outside windows, so you could totally see anyone getting changed here from the outside. But with this room, I was really emulating a very, like, cramped feel, because when I used to do theater, we used to just anyone who needed to be in wardrobe got changed in the middle of the wardrobe. Like, you didn't really go to your dressing room to get changed or whatever, you just got changed right there. And it was always like there was too much stuff in the wardrobe. There was always too much stuff, just always, because it was just like stuff would get collected over the years, and it was just always like fit to bursting. Like, no one ever cleared it out. So I remembered that, and I really wanted to emulate that kind of packed feeling. Like, it was like organized, but organized chaos. So yeah, I wanted to emulate that feeling a little bit. And I do think I succeeded. Like, it gave me those same vibes. Although there's not a lot of swatches in terms of like the clothing and stuff. So it's kind of dark in here. It's kind of gray, but I tried to use as many different swatches as possible, so it was like there was different costumes for every occasion, different vibes, but I don't know how well I succeeded. Also, let me know, for anyone who did theatre as well, was it just me, or was the lighting in wardrobe always so unflattering? It was so harsh and so unflattering, and you always just kind of felt really gross. But I also realized I didn't put any mirrors in the wardrobe. I probably should have done that as well. But there are so many mirrors throughout the rest of this build that I don't think it's that much of a problem. So I also wanted to, obviously, I'm going to a musical tonight. I'm going to see & Juliet. I saw Much Ado About Nothing on Monday, and I'm going to see & Juliet tonight. So very Shakespearean week. But tonight is obviously a musical, so I really wanted to kind of incorporate kind of a musical vibe into this space, because I do feel like a lot of even just plays now have music incorporated. Like, I went to see, in Much Ado About Nothing, there was a lot of music, and admittedly it was more dancing than singing, although Tom Hiddleston did do a rendition of I Want It That Way. He sang, like, the song, like the lyrics of the song, like the Shakespearean lyrics, to the tune of I Want It That Way, and then he like held out the microphone to the audience, but because it wasn't the actual lyrics, most of the audience didn't really get it, and there was just like silence, and he was holding out the microphone just looking at us like, guys. And he was like trying to encourage us, and then a couple of people kind of got it and was like, tell me why. And then it just kind of turned in this whole like jumbled mess. Like no one really knew what they were singing. Most of us were just laughing too hard to actually sing. And then Mason Park, this was the point where, I mean, I always love Mason Park. If you've seen The Sandman, they play Desire and they are just amazing. Also go watch The Sandman on Netflix if you haven't, because it's so good. And Mason Park plays Desire in that, and they were just so funny. They played Margaret in this, in Much Ado, and they were laughing so hard. They were crying, and they had to cover their face and turn away from the audience because they were laughing so hard. At which point Hayley Atwell saw that they were laughing so hard and then also had to turn away from the audience because they were both just in fits of giggles, just crying with laughter, while Tom Hiddleston looked at us all with this just intense disappointment on his face. So Tom Hiddleston was disappointed with me, which is a sentence I guess I now have to say. Sorry, I went off on a massive tangent there, but the main kind of point of this space was these rehearsal spaces. So I kind of created these little places for like the directing team to sit, and then I included these dance floors. Not necessarily because they're designed for dancing practice, but it's just another activity that you can do in this space. And then we have one rehearsal space upstairs and one downstairs. The idea I had was, again, sticking with the shows that I'm seeing this week or have seen this week. The idea I had is that upstairs they'd be rehearsing something like Much Ado About Nothing, maybe a slightly more intimate play that doesn't require as much space, that doesn't have as big a cast. And then downstairs would be more so the rehearsal for like a big musical with a big cast and lots of singing and dancing, where you need a lot of space to do all that kind of work. So I've personally rehearsed in multiple spaces that look like this, and to be honest, those folding chairs, so accurate. They are exactly what you have in spaces like that, and they are just dotted around the sides of the room because no one really has any like, there's no kind of rhyme or reason to where those chairs go. They go where they fit and they're not in the way. I have a big public bathroom upstairs, which would be used for the theatre and the rehearsal spaces. And this is where I ended up having to cut out a lot of the video because I spent so long in debug, because then I got distracted at this point. I started doing the bathroom and then I got distracted. I don't know if you can tell that I get distracted a lot. And so I realized that in these little like bump out bits that I've got, it really needed something there. Like it needed some foliage. So I spent a long time trying to give it some I don't know, like identity, I guess. And I'm not 100% happy with how it turned out. I don't love it. But it was what it was, and I don't know that I would go with the more cactusy style things if I did this again. But at the same time, it's really difficult because Del Sol Valley is quite a dry world in The Sims, but at the same time, it's not like Oasis Springs. It's not cactusy, so it's kind of difficult. And then this is the classroom space, which the idea I had was that, again, you'd have this kind of workshop space in the middle, and then the rest of it would literally just be, like you'd use, like the middle would be like those kind of acting exercises, and just chairs around the outside. And again, just using whatever posters I could find that kind of fit this idea of, maybe this would be a show that's been put on at the theatre and it's an old poster. But here I'm now just furnishing the apartment for the owner of this this lot, and yeah, I mean, this is less interesting. This is literally just, this is now an apartment. Like, you've probably seen a lot, but I really struggled with this back wall that's like facing to the theatre. So I liked the idea of having windows into the theatre, so you could kind of, because that is what you'd have in a tech box, and that's why I probably should have put a tech box up there. But I did like the idea that maybe the owner gets this opportunity to kind of watch the shows for free because they own the space. But yeah, so I put in all these like drama club trophies that maybe like kind of imply that maybe they were a bit of a failed actor and that's why they've opened up this space. But other than that, this is a really kind of standard apartment. It ended up being quite green actually. I don't know why. I went for like a green theme. But I also put in these like big windows that look into the theater, which they don't really make sense. It's a weird choice. It was I will give myself that. It was a weird choice. But that was just like I didn't know what else. I didn't want to just have like paintings on that back wall. Like there wasn't a lot to put there. And I'd already put like 2 bookcases, so I couldn't even do like a book wall. It was really difficult to figure out what to do with that back wall. It was just, yeah, it was really complicated. But I mean, I would love to live in an apartment like this. I think it would be really, really cute. It's got a lot of light. It's really open and airy. And I used a lot of these really cute fairy lights to give it a very, I don't know, like a homely kind of feel. Yeah, I absolutely love these fairy lights that came with the Businesses and Hobbies pack. They are my favorite thing. I put them in almost every single build. I also realized they didn't have a mailbox, so I was like, need to get one of them in. And that was also when I realized that I got distracted and didn't finish the bathroom. So this was me then finishing the bathroom. But yeah, it's this build was a lot of fun. Especially, I haven't built in Del Sol Valley or really used Del Sol Valley or the acting career in quite a while. So getting to come back to it was very nostalgic for me. I really do miss performance and acting, and I think that's kind of why I ended up gravitating towards content creation, because it's a form of entertainment that you can do on your own terms. And the reason I kind of gave up acting is because it is a very stressful life to lead. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of pressure that comes from it. And I'm glad that I learned that I couldn't cope with it before it became like my whole life. So I was applying for universities and I was going to be applying to go and audition for drama schools, and that's what I was going to do. And it was at that point that I was like, you know what? I can't handle this pressure. I do not want to do this. I was doing my drama A level and I was like having a full breakdown. I was really stressing out. I think the other thing about acting is you're so reliant on other people that it can really mess with your mental health, because especially when you're someone like me, I'm very much a control freak. I know that if I have to apply myself to something, then I will get it done. You know, like I will do it. And if I don't do it, I only have myself to be disappointed in. But with acting and drama and doing all that kind of stuff, you're so reliant on your team and your fellow cast members. And when I did my AS level, it kind of went wrong, and I had quite a small part in the play that we were doing, and it went wrong, and I didn't handle the situation well. I didn't improvise well enough. And then when I did my A level, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to go. And I did okay in my A levels. I got B's and it was fine, but considering I wanted to go into musical theatre, I was like, that's not good enough for me. It's not enough. Like, I'm not happy with that. So I decided to go into English instead, and I ended up actually studying Shakespeare in my first year of uni, and I kind of realized that I enjoy studying these kinds of things. And Much Ado About Nothing actually became my favorite play because I played Beatrice when we studied it. When we were doing like our read through, I played Beatrice, who's the main female protagonist in the play, and she's so much fun and I love her so much. So getting to see Hayley Atwell play her, I was kind of like miming, like mouthing some of the lines along with her because I still remember them from, even though it was 10 years ago. But yeah, it was nice to kind of identify my own my own path and not have to rely on other people. And now I still work as part of a team, but I'm largely responsible for myself. And that's, I think, the way I wanted it to be. But yeah, so I'm pretty much finished here with the apartment. I didn't really talk much about it at all. It's a really, really standard, just a kind of cute, cozy little apartment. I tried to, because, as I was just saying, acting can be such a stressful experience, I tried to put some, like, relaxing things in there. And then, yeah, I put on some, like, graffiti and stuff on the outside, and also at the back of the stage, there's these big doors that they'd bring, like, big set pieces through. So I included all of that, and then I also popped this sign, which I really like because I thought it looked like it said cutie pie. So, and then finally, I was just, once again, landscaping that front of the building. This was quite tricky because I didn't really want a lot of landscaping, you know, like I wanted it to be kind of minimalist because this is just a street front. So here is the finished build. This is the building I was talking to you about, and I think maybe this is actually like an apartment building. It kind of looks like it's maybe, or a parking lot even, but I felt like this kind of fit in with that a little bit sort of grungy kind of aesthetic. I really liked the idea of maybe trying to use like a glass roof somewhere, but I ended up not using that. But this is kind of how I started to gather my inspiration a little bit, is to kind of focus on the buildings that were surrounding the area. But let's do a quick tour since I didn't talk too much about the build. I got distracted. So when you come in here, this is the entranceway I was saying about. I haven't checked if they're functional. They should be fine. And then this is that like nice little this little bar area and seating area. Wardrobe, which there are no curtains, even though there are curtains on the inside. We've got this music room, which I didn't talk too much about, but the idea I had for this room was that it would be kind of a place that musical people, like people who write musicals, would be composing, they'd be practicing. It's just a place for mainly musical composition and stuff. I put a couple of each instrument in here, so there are multiple things for your Sims to be doing. In here, I did put in a little kitchenette kind of thing. You can set this as being employees only, or you can have it for use for everyone. I just know that we had a lot of these little like kitchen places that were literally, there's a microwave, a coffee machine, and a fridge, and that's it. It was mainly used for making tea and coffee and stuff. Other than that, it's a little bit bare, nothing really on the walls or anything. It's meant to feel almost kind of sterile and sad a little bit. And then we've got the auditorium and the theater. Again, you can totally customize this with however you want. I didn't show it in the video, but I did also kind of put a little, you could put some vending machines or something under here actually, which I think could be cool. But I just popped a little seating area, and then there is a dumpster outside which your Sims can use for woohoo, but I just felt like it added realism to the space as well. This is the big rehearsal room, so again I tried to clutter it up so it looked like it was like mid-rehearsal. I did put these dance mats in here, but realistically, this isn't intended as a dance studio, it's intended as a rehearsal space. Moving upstairs, again, I didn't show the furnishings of the hallways either because it just didn't really feel necessary, but there are some more seating areas upstairs with even more posters. Like I say, I used like every swatch I could find just so there were different posters and stuff. But I had an idea of like this being quite full. During like intermissions and stuff, people would come here to just kind of take a break and relax. And then we've got that bathroom. The reason behind this picture in particular is I just wanted a really random generic picture in there. It just felt very true to random bathroom paintings. I feel like that's always the case in public bathrooms. This is the, like I said, about the classroom space. Again, kind of bare, because it would just be used as this workshop area in the middle. It needed to be quite open, so there's lots of space for exercises and stuff, but there's a lot of natural light in here as well. And then again, this smaller rehearsal space for maybe a more intimate play, or even like a small musical. You could, like, there are musicals like the last 5 years which only have 2 cast members, so maybe something like that. And then in the apartment, I didn't show the bathroom because it's kind of just a standard bathroom, except for maybe this, that's kind of cute, but other than that, it's just a standard bathroom. Little entryway, which is quite cute, got those awards, and then the large windows that look out into the auditorium so you can watch the play from up here. Although I realize as well, actually, that would be kind of difficult. You'd have to make sure that your curtains were closed if you weren't watching the play, because, and like, if you were, you have to make sure all your lights are turned off and stuff so you wouldn't disturb the people downstairs and stuff. So it's a bit, it's not entirely realistic, but I just thought it was a nice touch, and like I say, I had no idea what to do with this back wall. There was like nothing I could do. Teeny tiny little kitchen with some meditation stuff. It ended up being very green. I really love those fairy lights. I just think they're so cute. And also, yeah, a little, I didn't talk about this, little computer area over here as well. And then a very green bedroom with a couple of skill items in here as well. I'm not very good at building quote unquote community lots, so I'm pleased with how this one came together. Thank you so much for sticking around if you've made it to the end of the video. I really appreciate you. I know this was a long one, so thank you so much for still being here. If there's anything in The Sims 4 that you feel is missing that kind of should be there, let me know what it is in the comments. I really feel like this is missing. It's weird to go from kind of completely unknown to being in commercials. I feel like there needs to be a step between. It just feels unnatural to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave a little like and share with your friends if you think that they would enjoy it. It really means a lot. I will be back next week, probably with another update to our Legacy Barbie challenge. Barbie Legacy Challenge. I keep doing this. It's the wrong way round. The grammar-wise, it needs to be Barbie Legacy Challenge, not Legacy Barbie Challenge. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you real soon. Bye!